everyone, this is your host McKenna. Welcome to another episode of Crash Cinnamon. Today I'm talking about a topic that really is sensitive, and not in the sense that it's something we can't talk about. It's just how it's handled, how it's been politicized, how it's been managed by different participants or players, for that lack of a better term. And this is racism, and especially when we look at racism in sports, racism in the sense of what I have gone through as a fan. And also I used to play amateur hockey, and yes, there was a particular incident that was it for me that made me not go back to hockey, and because I was the only black person in the whole league. And some of the comments, even from my own team and some of the referees and people who would come, was just, I don't know. And then I didn't know how to really handle it. I just felt nobody will hear me or defend me, and I choose to walk away from the game completely and give my own excuses of why I didn't go. But it just got to a point I was not happy, and I didn't feel safe. And we're going to look at racism in the UK, especially in football. There's two campaigns really that focus to end that. Rather, their campaigns are for ending racism in sports, in football, and that's Kick It Out and the Respect campaign. I don't know, I have reservations for them, because how they go about things, really, is there real success in what they do? I'm yet to see it. FA really, I have my own personal comments about that, and sometimes FA has let down a lot of players who've made complaints about racial abuse they faced on the pitch. And sometimes how they handle it is not really good. They just make statements. However, I have to also commend them for the times that they do stand up and uphold their decisions. Especially, I'm a Liverpool fan, and one of the issues that stand out for me, and it was a very dark time to actually support Liverpool, because it was the 2011 season, and Suarez was playing for us. Was a big Uruguayan footballer, still is top of his game, arguably best in the world at that time. And there was a situation when Manchester United came to play in Liverpool, and when Liverpool and Man United play together, it's always a touch and go situation. However, this was a situation between Patrice Evra and Suarez, and Patrice at the end of the game actually said that there was some terminology that were racist that was said towards him by Suarez, and there was a whole inquiry. There was such a huge media frenzy around it, and Liverpool maintained that, Suarez is innocent, is not, and later on Suarez actually admitted that he used the terminology that Patrice ever said. However, he said in his country that is not seen as a derogatory term. It's actually a term of endearment. And I remember the FA fined him £20,000 and gave him an 8-game ban. And I remember Liverpool fans went crazy. They were like, that's a witch hunt and all this, and I was like, wait, witch hunt? You might think this is a term of endearment, like Suarez said, but it's wrong. And I think at that point I was really torn as a Liverpool supporter, how to feel about the whole situation, because a wrong is a wrong. It doesn't matter if it's your team which is doing it. It's wrong. And sometimes that's why I have reservations about these organizations that have been set up or have come up to kick out racism, because really the stakeholders in these organizations like FA and Kick It Out and Respect, most of those people make the decisions so on the panels are not black, so they don't understand what it feels to be called all these racial aggregated terms or monkey noises made at you. They don't know how that feels. They don't know, because most of them are white Caucasian males. So how would they know? How would you explain a terminology or being discriminated or demeaned, or they wouldn't know. And and one of the things that made me also stop going to live matches for Liverpool, and I've never shared this with anyone really, aside from the fact that also ticket prices are ridiculous, I just don't understand why. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But one of the things that made me feel so insecure going to football matches was being racially abused by my own Liverpool FC fellow fans, and the sexual innuendos. It was just crazy. I used to go to matches either alone or with a friend, and it got really dicey. I remember one point, there's a pub on towards LFC. There are a couple of pubs, but there's one in particular that fans could even drink outside, and this group of men, they were in their 40s, 50s, they were shouting insults, snarled at me, and especially one guy was like, you'd be great for, and he described this sexual act, and he was saying actually black women are known to be great at that. And then one of his friends was like, why would you want a filthy black person to do that to you? I wouldn't want that. And, her whole discussion there went on about, black people and how filthy we are on this side, and on the other side, how great we are sexually, and our described, it was just crazy. And I just thought to myself, run as fast as you can, because this is not a situation where you win in any way, shape or form. And another time was I went with a friend, and the friend went, it was during the halftime break, and he'd gone to get us some drinks, I remember, and I was left, and I was just scrolling through my phone, and some fans were shouting at me, making monkey noises, and I was thinking, maybe it's not me, maybe. I don't know why I was even thinking that, and this guy just poured his abuse at me, and I was like, wow, I don't need even to be told what, anything beyond that. I knew exactly that was meant for me, and I just felt so uncomfortable. I didn't even tell my friend, and I was like, okay. And the third time, when I was walking home from the match, and this guy's started making insults and monkey noises, and they made very threatening remarks that were really, really scary. Needless to say, I ran for my life. They were laughing. They were like, oh, we're just joking. And I was like, nope, this is not a way to die. I don't want to die. I don't want the Echo newspapers to write about me in this way. So in the end, I felt I'm not going to football matches anymore. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I go to a lot of sports games. I especially love football and rugby. In rugby, though, you don't feel that. You never feel unsafe. You actually make friends from all over the world. It's a different atmosphere. I just don't understand. It's like night and day. So I stick to going to rugby. And anyway, now we're in COVID times, there's no really going to matches anymore. In a way, maybe that will help us rethink about our etiquette with others, and mannerisms. Hopefully, the COVID will change our mindsets about how we value each other, because if there's anything COVID has taught us, there's no respecter. Anyone can die, anyone can catch it. It doesn't. And needless to say, Big China decided to make black people the culprits of this disease. Somehow, black people always get the blame. Anyway, I digress. So it's gotten to a point where I was wondering, why is it that we can't seem to shake this beast off? It kind of grows a head, a nail, a horn. Each time you try and tame it down, it just becomes bigger and bigger. And there've been different documentaries to highlight this problem, like BBC Three did a program about shame in the game, and they even approached 20 Premier League teams, and that was, I think, in 2019. And only one came back for a statement about racism, and that was Watford FC. And it's crazy when you think about the different players, even in a women's team. I remember there's a lady, she played for Tottenham Hotspur, and she was racially abused by Sheffield United player. I think she was called Sophie, the one who racially abused her. And that's women's league as well. So it's both ways, and I'm really, I just hope we can find change. And I think change starts with representation. If we have representation in the stakeholders who make changes in football and sports, if there is enough representation from the BME community, if there is education as well, we'll start seeing some changes. And also harsher punishment in terms of fines or even jail time. People need to be reinforced that, there's no room for racism. Really, no room. I commend PSG what they did in December when they walked out, when that whole racism incident. And not only they walk out, also the Turkish side did. And that's the kind of solidarity sports needs. It's unfortunate, actually. If you read an article The Guardian did in the beginning of last year, in January, they said these incidents have risen from 80-something to 152 in England. So that's more than 50%, according to the statistics. More than 50% incidents in that season of 2018-2019. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. We are seemingly being provoked, actually, by our politicians, if you think about it, because racism is not only a football issue. Actually, it's a systemic issue. It's from the grassroots, from our politicians. Like I say, it's a society problem. It's a society cancer, and it's because of it starts from the home. Most of these people who are ignorant didn't pick it up just from thin air. Actually, it's ideologies maybe from when they were young, people they hung about with. And actually, I'm so sad that in England especially, our politicians have normalized bigotry and racism. They have. Really, if you've noticed the atmosphere in the last 3-4 years, it's uncannily different from before. Like now, even in Parliament, the terminologies even politicians are using about the BME communities, shocking. So change comes from home. Change comes from policy, from law, and change is now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Crush Cinnamon.